What is going on, you guys? My name is Ryan McComas. If you don't know me, I'm Ryan McComas. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be going over how I made my favorite video on my YouTube channel, Terminal. I'm going to kind of be going through all the shots and how I made them and kind of the story behind them. This is a great video, so I'll be linking the video in the description so you can watch it in full without any interruptions. If you haven't seen it, it's a great video. I love it. Leave it a like. Anyway, so let's get started. Okay, so the first shots are just kind of setting shots. I use them to set the scene of where I am and what is happening. So let's get to it. Okay, so right until here, all of the shots that I used, I wanted to really capture how old and how like beaten down the planes were. So I got shots of the help signs and the old like graffiti on them and the cockpits. And so now when the guitar starts playing, I wanted to get shots of people and subjects. And so I got the first shot of Braden walking into frame. So it's kind of introducing someone into the scene. So here we go. Okay, so those shots of me walking up on the plane and just kind of going up the plane with the camera and me saying woohoo there's actually a lot that went on in that. So I had to record going up the plane without anybody in the subject, and then I had Andrew, my friend, record me walking up, and then I actually didn't even scream at all in real life when I put my arms out. I just opened my mouth, and I use something that's called Foley, which is fake sounds. Movies use pretty much all Foley. So I used a sound that I found online, and then I just kind of drag and dropped and then put it in there. And then when it changed into this shot from there's a small like audio difference. So I just cut it on that cut and then changed it, turned down the volume, and then changed the reverb as well. So that's what I did for that one, and then it kind of keeps going. So the shot before this one, I used a lot of warp stabilizer just because I was zoomed in so far and my camera was really shaky, so I used a lot of warp stabilizer on these ones. This is my friend Jake. He's a good kid. We were there taking pictures as well. So actually some of these shots are when they were taking pictures, and I just kind of came in and took videos of it. Okay, so that it took 2 separate days because we had 2 days of shooting that we came back, and they were about a week apart. So the first time you can see I'm wearing a gray shirt, black pants, and gray Yeezys. And then when I go over from the undershot of this one between the two planes, I'm wearing a white shirt, black pants, and white Yeezys. You can't really see, you can't really notice, but it doesn't really matter because it's so dark. And I'm on there for like 2 seconds. So, and then I also had the GoPro shot on my head. So we had to record me jumping. I had to record myself jumping from the GoPro, and then we had to record me jumping from the underside. So we had 3 different angles on 2 different days. And so that shot, I used these fireworks we had from 4th of July that I had left over that I really liked. And we took like 4 or 5 shots of it, of us throwing it. And we wanted to get it perfectly behind me, straight down. But just the wind kept blowing it, so I had to move over. And it took about 4 or 5 times to get it. And it was really hard, but it was definitely worth it. It was a really good shot. So let's keep going. Okay, so all of those faces, it was kind of awkward because I had to be like, okay, everybody, stand here. and then we had to get like it wasn't a picture, it was actually a video, and so I just cut them super quick, and I don't think there was anybody that I left out. I think I fit everybody in there from that day. This is the second day that we shot those, and then it goes, and then there's Andrew, I think, and Braden up on top saluting, and so that worked really well. And then all of these from now on are actually in camera transitions, where I just took my camera and I went rotated up and then got the subject and then went down. And so there was a bunch of those, and so I just cut where there's a lot of motion blur, and so there's actually no transition. It's all in camera and just cuts. Okay, and that firework you saw isn't a real firework. It's an overlay of a firework that I found online, and I was like, hey, I'll use this. Okay, and so there is a transition coming up where Kai is the one on the right in the white shirt, where his head will come from the left to the right, and it'll change scenes. I'm going to try and pause it. Right. So right there, you saw his head will come through. And so this is kind of a difficult thing because you had to mask out his head and make it so there's actually blur there. So I just had to feather it and get the transition in there. But I had focused on Kai's head and didn't change focus for the mountains. So it's kind of just blurry, but I think it works just to kind of get the overall dream feel. I think that shot right here is probably one of the best colors. I think just the super contrast of the light blue and then the dark red was perfect. And then there's a subject in there too, so it's not just like, oh, cool sky. This shot took forever because it probably took me an entire day, because every corner of the video on the screen right here, so this top left, this top right, top bottom right, and bottom left, you had to pin. So you had to set a keyframe and then put it on top of the camera, every single frame. And because it's such a long thing, it took forever, and I couldn't track it because my computer would just crash. But I had to corner pin every single one of those corners for every single frame. And then I had to mask out my thumb out of the corner. And this video on top of it is actually the video that I'm shooting on that camera. And then that zoom transition took a whole day because it took like another part of that day because my computer was just so slow, and I was working on so many things that were like high stress on my really like not good laptop. But now I have a nice computer where I can do it, and it's like super easy. And then if you saw that, there's a bunch of glitches going on with Braden's head, and it's kind of like those extra frames. And so there's something called optical flow where you can slow down your footage and it'll add fake frames. So I tried to do that and slow it down, but I decided that I didn't like it. And so I just sped it back up and instead of undoing it. And so it added those fake frames, and then when I put it back, those frames were still there. And so it just added them, and I just didn't take it off, and it looked good. So that shot were actually both the same subjects, just from different angles. So I added a transition called the Handy Seamless Transitions. There's a bunch of transitions in there, and so that was pretty fun. This shot right here, I actually took on my phone, so that's partly why it's so grainy. But I had Andrew stand up there on the top of the plane, and then I had him light the fireworks, set it down where he was standing, and then run off. Then I just kept recording, and then what I did was when the firework goes off, I added like a 2-frame fade, and it looks like he disappears, but they're just 2 separate parts of the video. So that was super fun, and it usually gets people like, wow, what happened? This one probably has to be one of the best color grading shots that I've done. It's just like so clear, so crisp. The framing is great, and the color is really good. He's not like super orange, but you still feel the orange, and his shirt isn't super blue, but it is still really blue. And just the framing is really good, and like the acting is just on par. And then all of these shots right here, I would consider as like bad shots, but it worked to convey the dream feel that I was kind of trying to go for, but it just ended up working really good in post. But if you were to ask just like a professional filmmaker, they would just say, oh, this is just really bad camera work and color correction. But it worked in my favor. Didn't do a bad job. Well, I did a bad job on purpose. Also, all those 3 shots, there was some parallelism with birds flying through. If you go back and watch the video, you'll be able to see all the birds in them if you just look for them. But I didn't want to add fake birds because that would be way too noticeable and more work. So, and I was pretty done with this project when I finished it, but when I finished it, I was super proud of it. And then at the end here, I added a title card. I called it Terminal AZ, and the reason I titled it that is actually a funny thing. When we were there shooting, somebody said it's like Terminal from Call of Duty. There's a map in Call of Duty called Terminal, and so I was like, hey, that's actually a good title for the video. So I titled it Terminal, AZ, but when I just titled the actual video, I just titled it Terminal. Anyway, so that is all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in the next one.